Hey everyone, JSD Cool here, and welcome to another episode of Coolcraft Season 7. Now, in the last episode, I primarily built the sugarcane farm that I just covered up here, and I will say it looks a lot better underneath with this covering it. It's definitely into the base more. But in addition to that, in the last episode, I also did some, light restocking of my, my candy store, as well as coming a little bit down here beneath the base and doing some stuff. Anyhow, check out the last episode if you want to see what that's about. Alright, it is sacrifice o'clock, and hopefully this is a adequate, I guess, mix of stuff. It's different than last time. Hopefully this is an adequate amount. Let's run this thing, and once again, let's speed through this. Okay, that would appear to be a downgrade from what we had last time, but still seems relatively positive, so hopefully things don't get any worse. Now, on to the content of this episode. First up in this episode, I need to fix the Wither Skull / Fortress farm here, as it has appeared to have broken. Not really too sure how this happened, considering I don't think you could leave these chunks before the flying machines are back in their home position. Unless, of course, you were using spectator mode, which could be I guess a way this thing broke, but yeah, here. I'll show you what the damage is here. So yeah, this flying machine, somehow this piston separated. That is relatively easy to fix, and it's a couple with the skeletons I have to deal with, nothing too bad here. This one's a little bit more annoying here, because one, there's a blaze, and two, this flying machine welded itself together. Yeah, no idea what caused this. Yeah, that one's gonna be a little bit more annoying to fix. This one looks pretty simple. There's that skeleton that's shooting at me, but actually, it's this one. Okay. Yep. All right. Why am I like hunched down? Like that's actually gonna affect where I can see. That's this floor safe then? Yep. Oh no, hang on. There's one of you. Oh, actually, that will completely work. There we go, there we go. Alright, now that that's fixed, we should be good to get onto whatever we're going to be doing next in this episode. Still confused as to why that was broken, though. Now, while this may be a pretty good XP farm, this is going to pale in comparison to the amount of XP. Well, I don't necessarily know about pale, but compared to the amount of XP the farm we're about to be building is going to be generating, this certainly is a little bit more like child's play. Not entirely sure why I'm just not being upfront with you. You've seen the title, you've seen the thumbnail. We're building a gold farm in this episode, and I am standing here on all the resources that I have collected to build this farm. Look at the sheer number of them. There are a ton of them. Also, I made this spyglass because, like, zooming in on stuff is fun, but I think sodium is screwing with the resource pack that I have to remove this. That's kind of annoying. Go with F1 though, that'll fix it, but yeah, anyhow. Now, as you can tell by the sheer number of shulker boxes of resources that I have for this farm, this is not an ordinary gold. Not to say that I haven't built this farm before though. In fact, I have built this farm way back in Season 5, so I guess it's technically just 2 seasons ago. But anyhow, currently, I am, though, trying to figure out a location where I could put it. Okay, this seems like a large nether waste biome. Okay, we'll put it here. Of course, since Season 5, there have been a couple little changes to the game that kind of change what we are doing here with this farm. Namely, that would entail the addition of the crafter to the game, so we can actually, without use of external mods, make a crafting system for the output of this farm. But also, this season we just so happen to have a little bit of water in the nether through some circumstances that we have found ourselves in. So step 1 is, well, put down all the shulker boxes, but step 2 is get the water over here. Alright, a water source has been brought over from the Great Lake of the Nether Roof that exists just over that way. Now, I think we'll hop into a time-lapse for, well, the first of, I think, probably 2 time-lapses I'm doing. So, like in Season 5, I'm going to first build the spawning platforms, then get onto the redstone. So, let's build those spawning platforms. I predict that is going to take several hours. Alright, let's explain what these spawning platforms are doing, as these do not look like your traditional donut mob farm at all. For one, they're square, or I guess rectangular. They have numerous more layers, and they're also quite large. And tall. So, this is a little bit of a more unique design, where, you know, spawning platforms, they spawn the zombie piglins. They spawn on any of these layers, which are far enough away from where the player will be AFKing that, you know, stuff's always going to spawn. Then we have a ton of turtle eggs, which, by the way, take a while to get, which are, you know, strategically placed out in front of these platforms to lure the piglins towards them, convincing them all to immediately walk off these platforms and land on the powdered snow down here, where they'll actually not receive any fall damage because this is actually a tall enough fall to typically kill them from the top row. Of course, that's about all that we've gotten done so far, and that took like 4 hours, so let's hop back into another time-lapse of the rest of this, the actual, you know, farming portion of it being completed. Alright, now that the farm is completely finished, at least construction-wise, I think I can give a better explanation of what's going on here. Starting over here, we'll continue off from the point where we have the piglins where they are now. Dispensers at the end of each of these modules will spawn minecarts rapidly, or at least as far as this clock goes. I believe this clock was actually taken from Ilmango's design. Spawning the minecarts at a consistent rate that's just about as close as we can, which will basically always pick up the piglins. And there are 2 rows just in case. The back row here is usually not all that necessary, but occasionally it does come in handy. Anyhow, the minecarts will then come around here. Notice how we don't have any curved rails because of 2 reasons. One, curved rails suck and cause a lot of problems, basically causing the minecarts to back up. But also, if the minecarts do go backwards for some reason, this basically prevents them from going any further backwards. But mostly the first thing. Anyhow, the minecarts are then brought up here to the center where the piglins are forced onto these activator rails, which ejects them into either this or this hole here. The minecarts then make their way back to the dispensers they started at. Meanwhile, right here in the center, the player AFK is right in this spot. There will be an armor stand here. The goal of this farm is to use a sword that has sweeping edge on it to attack the armor stand continuously. The sweeping attack will then further propagate out to the piglins that are in these chambers here, and that's how we will be killing them, but the looting effect will also be applied, so this thing will have quite some drops. Speaking of which, all the items will typically fall on these blocks here, although let's be real, the inventory of the player is going to be picking up a fair amount of junk, at least early on. To deal with that, we will be spawning hopper minecarts from both of these dispensers here. Now this is where this differs from the first time I built this general farm design. When the minecarts get popped here, the items will be spit out into water, meaning they're going to be able to just immediately be moved and sent down into the storage system. In the original design, we didn't have water in the nether, so instead we just had the items sitting on top of trapdoors for a hot second, then we'd stop the spawning of minecarts, pull back the rail and the trapdoor that they were sitting on, letting the items fall down and then get pushed into the storage system. This should theoretically be more continuous. I don't know if this is necessarily an improvement entirely, but, you know, it's an improvement. And another improvement here is that the minecarts will actually stay running for a while after the farm is turned off to make sure everything is picked up. Once the items have been collected and put into the storage system here, they will be run across all these sorters, of which the last two are just picking up gold ingots, and the rest are all golden nuggets. I don't actually know if this is all going to be necessary. It was before because of how all the items kind of came in waves, but now that it's a bit more continuous, I don't know if they're all necessary, but they're all here regardless. Everything else, the flesh, the swords, that all just gets trashed. Once items do make their way through the sorters, they are put into crafters, which are obviously a thing in the game now compared to the old crafting system that we had. Although, also compared to the old crafting system, a signal of strength of 9 is a lot more annoying to deal with than a signal strength of 15 for the max fill, so we have this kind of annoying system here for the actual crafting. But all nuggets here get crafted down into 2 streams of ingots. Let's be real, they're probably not going to go at full hopper speed, but just in case. Those end up getting fed out into these crafters out back, which, when combined with ingots from the water stream above, will be crafting them down into blocks, which go into storage. Now, if we do a piglin bartering system off of this like I did last time, this will have to change, of course, moving this back a little way so that we can siphon ingots off directly to the bartering farm, but because we're not doing that this time, that is completely fine. One last thing here quickly. Due to how sensitive minecarts can be when being unloaded, it is essential that the farm is shut off when you're done using it, and so therefore the doorway here has been designed to prevent you from leaving while the farm is running, and that is also why the whole staircase and AFK area is completely enclosed, prevent you from flying off before the farm has finished. Now, in the situation that you did die while the farm was running, well, the farm's already pretty much fucked, but in the case that it's still not fucked, and you actually want to get your stuff back without breaking glass, this pressure plate here will open up to allow you inside. So what are we waiting for? Come on, let's get this farm going. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, well, not so fast. I just built the thing. There's a lot of stocking and configuration that needs to be done. For instance, each one of these dispensers and their associated chests here need to be completely filled with minecarts, as well as the fact that the droppers and dispensers down here responsible for item collection also need to be completely filled with hopper minecarts, and that dispenser there needs to have a bunch of armor stands put in with it. So yeah, I got a lot of stocking, particularly involving a lot of iron, to do! Alright then, I've stocked everything that I can think of needing to be stocked, which is hopefully everything. We see we got all the armor stands ready to go in here. We got hopper minecarts in here. All the minecarts around the thing are ready, so we're ready to turn it on now, right? Wrong! We still have at least one more thing to do, which is make a sword specifically for this farm. You see, the issue specifically is that this sword has fire aspect on it, which is a problem, because that'll just burn up the armor stand. Not particularly useful now, is it? And it actually also deletes it. Extremely unuseful. So yeah, we need to create a special sword for this that doesn't have fire aspect, but also has smite, preferably, because that deals the most damage to piglins. Alright, here's the sword that I got. It doesn't have smite on it because, for some strange reason, I apparently don't have a smite villager. Huh, wonder why. Regardless, this farm is now able to open, so we turn the volume off, flick the switch on, watch the minecarts come pouring out of all corners, get into the spot where we can stand for the AFKing of this farm, and then wait for the piglins to roll in. At which point, we start continuously whacking the armors. I already have a whole stack of rotten flesh on me. Wow. Okay, so this is mildly bad. I just died in the farm. And hence the exact reason why you can get in from the outside. But yeah, I guess I got too close to the piglins. Okay, I finally made it back to the farm. I think I should probably put a respawn anchor around here. That would be a good idea. But yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Yeah, there's reasons why you don't want to unload this farm, which makes me now want to get on to the next thing we actually do, because, you know, the farm's not entirely finished yet. I mean, at least the piglins aren't aggro at me. That's at least nice. But yeah, there are more things that I have to do besides just, you know, stand around the farm here AFKing. Now, for one, the simplest one is beacons, so we don't, you know, die of hunger overnight, theoretically. Ooh, that's another issue right there. But the other one is chunk loading. So if I do die here, it doesn't screw up the farm. Anyhow, I'm gonna unscrew the farm now because, yeah, as this side will show me, this is what happens when you unload this farm unnaturally. The other side's also screwed up as well. Alright, beacons have been installed. I also decided to install another safety system here. So what this one is this is based off of the item frame that holds the sword for the farm. So basically, it will, similar to the farm activation, it will lock this door here, or not, you know, the actual door, but it'll block the path here to exit if the sword is out of place. And of course, when the sword is in place, it will obviously be open as long as the farm is off. And of course, I've had to re-engineer this here. I didn't have any yellow wool, so I just used white wool. Yeah, I re-engineered this so that, you know, you can still get into the farm when if you need to get in from outside while the farm is currently running / the sword is missing. Oh yeah, I also put up some instructional signs around here explaining to anyone else who might be using this farm what's going on. So, sword goes here, please use this sword in the farm, return it after. And more importantly, AFK now on this block instead of right in the armor stand. Do not stand under there, because apparently, I think it might be the baby piglins, but I'm not entirely sure, they can attack you if you're standing in there. So, yeah, that's the thing. But if you're standing all right back here, I think it's all fine. There might be reduced spawning on that bank back there a little bit because you're a couple blocks closer, but that's probably not a big deal. Besides that, yeah, I think this farm is about ready to go, so I will AFK the night here, or at least try to. Hopefully I don't die, and yeah, we'll see what kind of results I get in the morning. Alright, I just got back from AFKing the night, and that looks like it was rather successful. Oh, and a backup just happened. Put the sword back. I mean, I have a ridiculous amount of XP floating around me and 600 levels, so that shows a fairly large degree. Come on, get in the hole, rotten flesh. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But as you can see, there are a ton of baby piglins shoved in the corner that I apparently was not able to swipe with the sword. And that looks like it's probably going to be a speed problem. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how I might want to go about fixing this. Okay, it looks like you can stand a little bit closer to be able to get at them, so maybe the AFKing on this block isn't entirely correct, but rather this block. I mean, it's definitely safe to AFK here. I'm not entirely sure if this block is 100% safe, though. I'll have to test that. But yeah. Alright then, with the farm being slightly handicapped by a bunch of, tiny piglins being shoved in the corner there, let's see how much we got overnight. So, lot of gold blocks. I don't even want to compute the number of nuggets this is equivalent to because it is too many. But that is a lot of gold blocks. So, yeah, I'd say this farm is quite successful. Now let's add those chunk loaders so that we can be safe in the fact that this will probably not break because someone dies here. Alright, chunk loaders have been installed, so theoretically now, while the farm is turned on, all of these chunk loaders should be active, meaning if you die there, the minecarts shouldn't break. TM. That is the hope, of course. I did have a weird issue on the overworld side where some observers weren't working right. I don't know why, but anyhow, those are hopefully fixed now. Oh, and also, it's off camera at some point I did this. I made a canal. Well, it's a canal here, and then it's just water going all the way back to the main part of the nether, because I felt like without any stuff, getting back here took a while. So at least being able to boat here would be a good idea. Okay then, and with that, I have AFK'd another night and nothing eventful happened. So I'm gonna say that this farm is a success. And we will therefore conclude this episode there. So I'm going to have to say thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. Please make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe. Check out my game, which is linked in the description. And I will see you all in the next episode of Coolcraft Season 7. Bye!